Hey everyone, it's Deja from CrochetEverAfter.com. Today is the newest motif of the month. It's October 2015, and this is the daisy square motif. So daisy because it looks kind of like a little daisy in the center, and square because I've turned it into a square. So pretty easy motif. You'll use two colors. I'm using medium worsted weight. You can use whatever actual thickness you want. Just change your hook accordingly. And for this I'm using a USJ or a 6mm hook. So let's grab our stuff, and the link is below, and we'll get started. Alright, to get started on our motif, we're just going to put a slip knot on our hook and start off with 5 chains. So we yarn over back to front, turn our hook down and pull through. Do that 5 times. We're going to make an open ring for our daisy. So 5 chains. Remember, if you forget or are not counting, look for the V's on the front of your chains to be able to count them. So, or you can count just one loop. If you turn it sideways, you can kind of see the loop on the side. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Don't count the loop on your hook. That's just the working loop. It doesn't count as a stitch. Then we're going to join our ring with a slip stitch in the first chain. So stick your hook anywhere in there, not a big deal where. Yarn over, pull through, and then pull through the loop on your hook to slip stitch. And now we have our ring for round 1. So for round 1, we're going to do a chain 1, and then we're going to do 12 single crochets inside our round. So we have that nice big hole to work through. You notice I hold on to my loop when I go to reach through the hole. If I don't, sometimes my hook will just slide right out of the loop that's on the hook. So I always hold on to it when I'm inserting my hook in just to keep a hold of it. Then I'm going to yarn over. Again, it's kind of like a layover, and I pull up that loop. 2 loops on my hook for a single crochet, yarn over back to front again. This one's more like kind of a whole wraparound. This one feels more like a yarn over. Then I'm going to point my hook down to get through and pull through for a single crochet. Notice every time I do my stitch, I always push my loops to the shaft of my hook. So I insert, I pull up, I push to my shaft, I yarn over, I pull through, and I push to my shaft. This gives me even stitches. They're all going to be the same size height because I'm making them the size of the shaft. I don't pull up and reach through and pull up, and so this is going to give me a big gigantic stitch if I do that. And I also don't do my stitches on this skinny part of my hook, the throat. If I do that, I'll have small stitches. So if I stay like right here, and it's going to be even hard to do, but pull through here, it's going to give me smaller stitches than the rest of my stitches. So I always reach through, pull up, yarn over, pull through. So if you lose count, remember, turn sideways, count those V's. They're sitting right on top. So I have 1, 2, 3, then I have my chain 1 here. So I keep on going. I'm going to do 9 more, and then we'll come back and join for the next round. I've done 11 single crochets. I just need to do 1 more. If you find yourself running out of room, because these worked around the chain and not into the chains, you can pull your stitches over so they slide, so you have more room to work. So if you find it difficult to figure out where to put your hook for your slip stitch, just count backwards again. Use those V's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So that I know when I hit 12 is where I want to put my hook, because that is the first stitch of the round. So I reach through, I'm slip stitching, I yarn over, pull through, and then pull through the loop on the hook. So now that is the end of round 1. Round 2 is pretty easy as well. It's going to be the same stitch over and over again. So the first thing we're going to do is chain 11. So let me count while I do this so I don't lose my, so they're all the correct size. But make these somewhat, not tight, but the size of your shaft. Keep them even. So push, pull to your shaft, push, and just keep going back to your shaft so that they're all the same size. Because these are going to make the loops of the daisy, we don't want them super loopy because then they'll be all different sizes. We want to keep them all consistent. So notice I don't pull too tight on my tail. I keep it just tight enough to be able to keep this loop the same size as my shaft. Then I pull through. So remember, point your hook down at the stitch and you'll get through much easier than if you're going sideways. So we need to do 11 of these. Let me see how many I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 2 more. 10 and 11. And then the pattern says to join with a slip stitch in the same stitch as my join, or do a slip stitch in the same stitch as my join. So kind of pull up if you forget where that slip stitch is, and it makes a hole. So I'm going to insert my hook right there. That's that very first stitch of the round, and I'm going to slip stitch that close. So that's my very first loop. Then I'm going to do another 11 of these. The next time I do my slip stitch, though, I'm going to my next stitch over here is where I'm going to be doing it. So let me do 11 real quick. 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And you'll see as I get further up in my chains, I bring my hand up to kind of keep them nice and the same size. So I move my hand up as I'm making the stitches to keep it taut. So then again, I'm going to insert my hook here, slip stitch, and I'll do one more so you can see it, and then we'll do the rest on our own. So again, I yarn over, pull. Usually I can get about 4 or 5 before I need to move my hand because it gets too far away. So I grab to where, right below where I'm working, and it helps me keep the tension all even and keeps me in line. Again, I didn't count, so let me see how many I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's close. 11. So again, I go to the next stitch, my next chain or my next single crochet, and slip stitch in there. Both loops, yarn over, pull through, and you'll notice I kind of like turn it upside down to get through nice and easy because I'm still trying to get through this loop. If I try to do my slip stitch right here, I get stuck, and if I turn it down, I can lose the loop. So you'll see that I kind of turn it upside down when I'm pulling through so that I can get right at the bottom of that chain to get through nice and easy. So we're going to do 9 more of these, and then we'll have a full flower at the end of the round. Okay, it's finished the last chain 11, and I am slip stitching on the last stitch here. And then I'm going to fasten off because we're going to move on to our green color. So I'm going to yarn over and pull through to make a long tail. That's how I like to fasten off. It's just a little bit easier, for me at least. Then I pull the extra tail out. Now we have our floppy daisy, but once we get going, it's going to get more shape. Okay, I've got my green, and we're going to start with a standing stitch. So a standing stitch is very cool. It creates a really nice looking join because it looks like a stitch. It doesn't look like a slip stitch in a chain. So the first thing we do is put a slip knot on our hook. And then we're just going to start working a single crochet. So pick any of your chain 11 spaces. So this is the entire space when it says chain 11 space on the pattern. And you're just going to start working a single crochet. I'm going to insert my hook through. I already have a loop on my hook, so it's kind of like as if I was working and the yarn is already attached to my pattern. I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to pull up a loop, so I have 2 loops just like a normal single crochet, and then I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to pull through both. And I just joined, and it looks like a single crochet, and I can keep going. So the next thing we're going to do is chain 3 and single crochet into the next chain 11 space. So now we're joining all of these petals to our green to create that square. So the next thing, we're going to make a corner, so we're going to chain 3 to get to the next petal, and then we're going to do our corner stitching, that our corner pattern repeat that we're doing. So we're going to double crochet, and this is going to give us the height to make the turn. So yarn over, insert all the way through the chain 11 space, pull up the loop, yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through the second 2. Now we're creating the corner with another chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and then we're going to do another double crochet in that same petal. Yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. So that's kind of what we're going to be doing all the way around. We're going to chain 3, we're going to single crochet, to the next chain 1 space, chain 11 space, chain 3 again, single crochet and chain 11 space, and then do our corner, chain 3, double crochet. So obviously we're going to have 4 corners at the end, and then the chain 3 with the single crochet is in between. So just keep repeating that pattern all the way around till we get to the end. So we've got 2 already done. Okay, I just finished the repeat. It says to work everything to the last chain 11 space. So this is the last chain 11 space that I just did my corner stitch in. And then at the very end it says to chain 3 one more time because we need that space. If I join right now, I'm going to have a funny looking square. So I need chain 3 and then join with a slip stitch in the top of my single crochet. So that standing stitch helps create an easy stitch to work into for your slip stitch. So now we have our square. It doesn't look totally like a square, it just looks kind of like a mess. But once we put our double crochets in, it's going to get more of a square look to it. So we're going to start, oops, wrong end. We're going to start our next round with a chain 3. So that's going to count as a double crochet. If you know how to do a tall chain from my other videos, you can do that instead. You can look that up if you want to use that instead, but we'll just stick with a chain 3 for ease. And then it tells us to double crochet in every stitch around. So that means we're going to do 3 double crochets in every chain 3 space. We're just going to work around the entire chain. And then it says do 5 double crochets in each corner chain 3 space. And that's just to create the amount of stitches we need to make the turn. Because if we just do 3, our corners are going to look funny. So this chain 3 counts as the double crochet for this single crochet. So we're going to start doing our 3 double crochets in our chain 3 space. Because they go all the way around, you can move them around if they get too crowded. So we always yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through the second 2. Then for the single crochet, we're actually going to work into the loops. So if you get crowded with your double crochets, you might have to pull them over a little bit to expose your stitch. But remember, we have the 2, it kind of looks like a V in itself for the single crochet. So right above that is our loop, is our V on top of the stitch. So that's the loop we want to go under. So we pull up, do a regular double crochet. We'll go all the way to the corner before you are on your own. So again, we're doing 3 in our chain 3 space. So don't forget to work into these double crochets as well. We have the whole double crochet and then the V on top under both those loops. And then we're going to do 5 in this space. 1, not 2 loops. 2, 3. So if I'd stopped here and I started working the next stitch, you'll see that it kind of doesn't even make the turn. So we've got to put 2 more in there to make a turn. See, it's curving around. Need more slack. Oops, sorry. How many do I have now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we'll do that one in our double crochet. So you can see I kind of pulled this over because these double crochets were covering my stitch. So you could see how it's kind of halfway covered right here. So I just pull these over and then I can see the full stitch. You can see the little hole that I need to work through. So just pull those over as you go if they get in the way. So now you can see I have a better corner. So I'm going to keep going around until we get back to the beginning and we'll fasten off and weave in ends and check out the finished product. Okay, I finished all my double crochets all the way around, and now I'm going to do a slip stitch in the top of my chain 3. So I count 1, 2, 3. Insert my hook, missed. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, and then we're going to fasten off. So not too many ends to weave in since we only use 2 colors. Let me grab one that I already weaved the ends in so you can see how it looks. So this is kind of how it looks when you first finish, because these loops can be adjusted. So what I do is I just grab the corners, stick my fingers through these holes, and then I kind of pull. And it already flattens out very well. This one, I just did a little bit more. I just kept pulling on it until I got it to where I wanted it. So this is why you want to keep your chains even so that your loops are not, your loops look all the same. Otherwise, if you have like one that's really big, one of these daisy loops is going to be out of whack. So to get this even flatter or more square, I would block it. So I would pin it out and steam it or wet block it, and then you can connect them however you want. So you can connect the sides to make a scarf or part of a blanket. You could use these as like an accent, so you could do a fully solid blanket and then have these in between, so it's not such a holey blanket, because this would probably not be too warm if the whole blanket was made of this, but different options. So this is the daisy motif. If you have any questions, leave them below, and thank you for watching.